Asher Lowy, 17 Lockwood Drive. I just wanted to, one of the first thing you said in response to, I think, the first question was that, you know, we can't let outside numbers create fear. I think
That's not what I said.
All right, let
I
him
think-
finish. It's okay.
I think the point was, or outside people or numbers or something along those lines. I think the fear is actually created by the threat of tax increases, and I think it's a very real fear. And you know, just telling people to not worry about it, especially given the financial situation in this borough, given the fact that people are struggling to pay their mortgages, and we have a high rate of foreclosures and abandoned homes. I think the fear is very real, and I don't think that, you know, waving it away by saying, you know, that we have real numbers that don't match the ones that have been going around is enough, especially when the fear of losing one's home is so visceral and real. You know, there was a time in my life, personally, where I did not have a home to sleep in. I may not look it now, but I have. I understand that fear very well, and I think that's the fear that people feel, and they want to hear a little bit more than your assurances. They want to see actual concrete proof that that's not going to happen. And as everybody speaking before me said, this meeting was called in response to a lawsuit that was filed by Anthony Esposito. There's going to be a hearing on that tomorrow, which is why this meeting's happening, to amend the lease. I think that being that this is such an integral part of the project, that this lawsuit, you know, that this meeting was called to obviate part of the lawsuit, thus moving the project forward, I think it would be appropriate if the numbers were actually in before you guys voted on this, before this even came to a lawsuit, ideally. But now that you're actually trying to move it forward, I think the numbers should have been available tonight, if not earlier. And I know you're saying that they were available and that they were made available, but you know, no one seems to be able to quote them. This is the single largest project. This is the single largest project that this borough is going to be taking on, has taken on, or will be taking on in a very long time. It's going to be obligating people, taxpayers, homeowners, for the next 30 years to pay for the cost of this mind and body. The $59 million plus the debt service, plus the administration, plus the insurance, plus everything that goes into it, plus the fees that citizens are going to have to pay to actually use it. Because this is the single biggest issue that's going to happen in Roselle for a very long time, I think that this is not an issue that can simply be dealt with by, you know, the paper with the numbers in the filing cabinet over there, and if I needed I could reference it if I want to. It has to be at the top of your mind, because this is the biggest issue. This is going to affect people most deeply. This, can I please have 3 more minutes?
Yeah.
This can't just be something that isn't at the top of your mind, because I guarantee you it's at the top of every citizen here's mind, and everyone who's going to be watching it later, and everyone who's watching on the live stream, and everybody's going to get an increase in their tax bill. And as far as town halls and citizens deciding, in general, we elect our representatives because we assume they know what they're doing, we assume they represent our interests, and we don't have the time to read all this stuff, which is why, you know, all of you have your positions to take care of that. But sometimes there are issues that are just too big to leave to 6 people, even if they're elected. Even if they're elected. Those issues are so fundamental to the existence of the constituency, to the existence of the town, to the existential needs of the citizens on a day-to-day basis, that they have to be put to the citizens first. They can't just be decided in a room like this. Especially since, you know, this meeting was really a foregone conclusion. It's called because you have to call it. There's no doubt to anybody in this room, I think, that this motion was going to pass. There was no doubt. It was going to pass. I mean, everybody knows where everybody on the council sits on this, right? And yet, it's a foregone conclusion that that's going to pass and the project's going to move forward, but for some reason it's not a foregone conclusion. We cannot all assume showing up here today that you all know the numbers on this project. I think there's something very wrong with that.
Here, here.